Every election throws up really interesting candidates standing for the minor parties, real individuals, but they tend to get ignored by the media. You know, they go after the big fish, which is a pity. And in this case, particularly so because Bianca Colecchia, born in Italy, now standing for One Nation in the seat of Bruce, actually made a stand when her Melbourne University professor started a rant in her political economy class about how working class students should vote ideally for communists, and his dad shouldn't listen to me.
If you're a working class person, at least a working class person that understands their true interests and is not suffering from some kind of false consciousness, then, you will understand that you need to vote, if you're in the working class, for a left-wing political party, ideally a communist one that will overthrow capitalism. That's really important is that people, as Mark said, and I mentioned false consciousness earlier, people are often really poorly informed. Including, I have to say, some people in my own family, generally the older generation. Oh, don't worry, Andrew, about that climate change stuff. It's really happy. Right, my dad. Yeah, that's... Anyway, poorly informed, disengaged, listening to the wrong people, on TV. Andrew Bolt should be listening to me.
I've asked that professor why he's such a fan of communism and not of me. And he says, oh, no, it's not a communist at all. He's just being flippant. He was describing class consciousness. This is out of context. Really? Let's ask Bianca Colecchia. Bianca, thank you so much for joining us. What did you do when that professor started raving about voting communists and not listening to conservatives?
Firstly, thank you for having me, Andrew. And yes, I actually withdrew from the subject straight after the first lecture. But after that, I really started taking a quite rebellious, quiet approach. Every time I went to university, I would rock up with my One Nation cap, with my MAGA cap. I would put my hand up and challenge professors, guest lecturers, or like during tutorials. Needless to say, I didn't make any friends at university.
Well, you've changed nationality now. You're an Australian. Why did you decide to then stand for politics and stand for One Nation? Yes, well, as you said, I come from Italy, and I gave up my Italian citizenship to be able to run as a federal candidate. I was actually always very disengaged from politics up until 2020 when COVID happened, and it was a really big wake-up call for me, and I think I just started becoming aware of my surroundings, which I clearly wasn't before, and I really realized that I wasn't paying attention, and I didn't notice like the big shifts that clearly were happening for quite some time. And that's why I decided to go to university, because I wanted to get involved and try to bring the change that me and many others really want and desperately need. And so I thought to go to university because having never been involved in politics, I didn't know anything about it. And you would think that you go to university to learn something that you will be able to apply in the workplace. But that was a huge disappointment, because all I learned was ideology and nothing practical. It's out of context, said the professor to me. I don't know that quite sounded out of context, that huge slab I ran. Now, if there's one difference you'd like to make in politics, should you be so fortunate as to get elected, Bianca, what would it be?
I think it's a couple of things. First of all, bring back common sense, which is really lacking nowadays. Then I would like to have leaders who are able to prioritize their people, bring back some good old patriotism and a little healthy touch of nationalism. But I really think that it's important to fix the education system. And if you don't mind me giving you a quick other anecdote on my last subject last year, social sustainability, it was a compulsory subject, and I ended up withdrawing, even though it was a compulsory one. And again, I challenged the university. It was all concepts like racial capitalism, cannibal capitalism, redeeming whiteness. Like redeeming whiteness, what is that even? Like how? So I told the university, being a compulsory subject, that I refused to engage in that, and that I was giving them the chance to give me an alternative subject. They took about 3 weeks. They were palming me off from one office to another, and I actually threatened legal action if they didn't allow me to take a different subject. They ended up allowing me to, but again, they took 3 weeks, and on top of the 3 weeks that I took to get out of the subject, so it was 6 weeks in total. They took 3 weeks to approve, and they only gave me a 10 days extension out of 6 weeks behind in the program. But eventually, that just goes to show that if you push back, these institutions will have to, Thank you.
Good on you for fighting, Bianca. And look, Bianca Colecchia, may you be Australia's Georgia Maloney. Let's see. Go. Good on you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
After the break,